Alright, let us continue. So, Silver Snow and Azure Moon. Let me go ahead and just say, hey, that I'm hoping this is going to be shorter because, oy. Although it is appropriate that I'm doing this one now, but I'm going to go ahead and just be honest. I'm not waiting until I complete uh, until I either go through Golden Warfare or uh, complete, or complete Warriors Three Hopes to do this because, from my perspective, I started playing Three Hopes yesterday, which was when I record. Was that when I recorded three? It recorded that. Give me a moment. Yes, that was yesterday that I did that. From my perspective. So yeah, from my perspective, yesterday is when I recorded the Azure Moon video. So now here we are with Silver Snow and Crimson Flower. I'm gonna go ahead and just start with Silver Snow right off the bat because there's so little for me to say. I mean, yeah, I've got like half a page of notes, but most of these are just, and here's an irrelevancy, and here's an irrelevancy, and here's an irrelevancy. It's literally just a bunch of complaints. I mean, the only things of any substance that I have to talk about, the number of notes I have any substance to talk about are number in one, two, I guess technically three, four, five, six. Like six of these notes have any relevance at all. So let's just go down the list. Now, obviously, this is from the whole Edelgard is revealed as the Flame Emperor thing, which she doesn't even don the armor until the battle. Which is funny. And by funny, I mean sad, of course, because, because my webcam needs adjustment again. The thing about Edelgard, about this whole thing, and this narrative hate boner that this freaking game has for Edelgard is, damn it, is the fact that, how do I phrase this? Is the fact that Silver Snow, well, let's just start with my first Silver Snow note, the Verdant Wind comparison. It has been described that Silver Snow is basically just Verdant Wind without Claude. Allow me to professionally disagree. Silver Snow is what happens if you take all of the good nuanced writing, all of the great interactions with the Golden Deer, all the great student actions, and you remove Claude's relevance from the equation, and that's Silver Snow. Silver Snow's biggest problem, other than my monitor being on, is the fact. Sorry for that. There's too much shit in my way. But anyways, the biggest problem with Silver Snow, comparing Silver Snow to Verdant Wind, is to just say that Silver Snow is a direct copy of Verdant Wind is like saying every Dynasty Warriors game is the same, or every EA Sports title is the same, right? Like every NHL game has been the same for the past 20 years or whatever. There is some truth to that, and at their core, yes. But if you actually do spend $60 on a fucking roster update every year, which is my biggest problem with it, but if you do spend those $60, you can actually tell the nuance and differences. You know, I mean, the every Pokemon game is the same. him is always the one that sticks in my craw because no, not every I almost said every Fire Emblem, every Pokemon game is not the same because there are fundamental differences between games, right? Whether you want to say that, for example, Gen 2, of course, had the genders and the day-night system and I think that one was where breeding came into the equation. I could be wrong about that. But Gen 2 had all of those movements. Gen 3, of course, had uh shit, what did Gen have? Gen 3 I think was where they started to do shoot, what did Gen 3 introduce? I'm trying to think. Gen 3 introduced what Gen 3 introduced. Gen 4, I know, was the physical special split, which was frankly good. Gen 5 was, of course, trying to inject more narrative into the Pokemon series, and the idea of limiting the national decks. Let's not get into that. Let's not get into that. I'm not even gonna touch that, even if I do cover Sword and Shield, because some people say that the national dex was hoax. The national dex being proven to be bullshit. It was a hoax, and some people say that Game Freak he did not lie. I refuse to comment on the former, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it point blank on the latter because Game Freak basically literally released a statement that said, "Yeah, the national dex isn't happening." Basically, flat refused. Until and the whole "we are going to give it to you as free updates" came after the backlash. So no, I don't give Game Freak slack for that. It's what I discussed with Koei Tecmo back with when I said that they should have known better with the fucking roster, and I stand behind that statement. Koei Tecmo really should have known better with that fucking roster because that fucking roster was stupid because they kept masturbating to Fates, and I'm not gonna back down from that opinion, you know. And it's the same thing here. If you just say that Silver Snow is a ripoff of Verdant Wind, then that doesn't get across all of the nuance. It, it's funny because I would argue Silver Snow is actually Verdant Wind, somebody trying to recreate Verdant Wind, but suffering from bullet point syndrome. In other words, they're going down the list and just bullet pointing what made Verdant Wind work, and not really understanding and then realized they had limitations, and then realized, oh wait, and then couldn't change it because they'd realized all too late what bullet pointing Verdant Wind was actually going to do, right? I mean, there's a reason why, in many ways, if, say I stopped using, copyrighted characters to release, my OC mode's actual storyline for real, I'd have to fundamentally change several aspects of my setting. In other words, kind of make several areas, like, for example, make Fodland, for example, a separate dimension or something, and make it some generic kingdom where it's blatantly obvious, yeah, it's supposed to be Fodland, and this is supposed to be strongly based on three houses, right? But but at the same time, it really does feel like they didn't know what they were doing with that. Because again, they they tried to just replace replace Claude with Sedith, excuse me, and it didn't work because Sedith doesn't fit that role, and they didn't really have him rise to the occasion to be that kind of role. And I do think No joke that Seteth could rise to that occasion as a character. The problem is Three Houses' writing shits the bed on way too many things, in my opinion, which is unfortunately something that carries over into Three Hopes a little bit, as you know, Rhea still point blank is like, yeah, yeah, I don't care, I'm still going to go against the Empire, right? I mean, Reyes still is like, I will not forgive anyone who points their blades at the church. But they do feel, it does feel like they're just like there's literally a scene in Three Hopes. Minor spoilers for Three Hopes. It happens in like chapter 4, so this is demo stuff that I'm spoiling basically, and not the full game because I haven't actually gotten to that point yet. Fun fact: I've gotten up to chapter 4 in Three Hopes. But anyways, in Three Hopes, there is literally a scene where Rhea, Sedith, and Flane are actually discussing, again, like I said, spoilers, spoilers, that Edelgard has started a war and is trying, and we're trying, and there's a lot of involved in that. That there's nuance to it. What Flane even flat out says, well, maybe she had a reason, right? And because of Edelgard's actions, which are actually smarter than in Three Houses, let's just be blunt, there is at least some nuance to it because it is clear she is making it clear through her actions she is going against the central church and not the faith, you know? Which is funny because there is literally a line in the Crimson Flower Path if you have Edelgard go and attack Rhea in the Crimson Flower chapter 12, where Rhea's like, I don't care what your reasons, I'm gonna kill you. And Edelgard's like, yeah, I'm just gonna do the same thing. And then Rhea's like, you must know what a fool you are. And Edelgard is to make an enemy of the goddess and all that. And Edelgard responds with, I have made an enemy of the church, not the faith. Ignore the fact that that Edelgard does actually have the fucking goddess on her side at that point, but let's ignore that. So yeah, no. The comparison, because Silver Snow does not work as a pathway. Silver Snow doesn't work as a pathway. Verdant Wind, if you take out Claude, literally wouldn't be Verdant Wind anymore. It'd be Silver Snow, and that means you would be making it worse, in my opinion. But I digress. So then we have. So the first thing that happens is we reunite with Edelgard. I hate that scene. It is literally the only reunion scene that got a negative from me. I mean, for God's sakes, Dimitri's reunion scene, despite me hating Azure Moon, got a plus. The reunion with her in Crimson Flower got a plus, and the one in Verdant Wind absolutely got a plus. In fact, I know it got at least one. Allow me to check to see if it got more than one. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I did give it 2. I gave the reunion with Claude 2 positives in Verdant Wind. Why? Because as it set up, not only was it a great reunion, but it set up in like a 30-second cutscene what Claude's overall goal was. And that's brilliant. The Edelgard one is just they fight for no reason. Using they don't kill each other for some reason, and then Edelgard leaves to become irrelevant for the entire rest of the game. I got nothing. Which is funny because that's actually my next note. Edelgard is completely irrelevant to this storyline. She literally shows up for her reunion scene, and then when you go and kill her. That's it. That's her only relevance. Hubert's only contradiction to Silver Snow is to be defeated, and then after we defeat Edelgard, for his letter to come to us. That's it. That is pathetic. Don't even get me started on the fact that the Black Eagles are mostly the same. name. They have like a brief scene, and that's like it. And it's just never mind that the Church of Saros is basically the same thing. Then my next note is about Rhea being missing, being dumb. Again, I've complained about this enough. This is my whole point of Edelgard wants to topple the false goddess who she has in her basement. Ugh. Anyways. So then we get the Crest of Flames flag, which is actually a nice touch to kind of show that Byleth is, an entity. It works way better in Verdant Wind than here in Silver Snow, which is funny because you would think that this would actually work better here in Silver Snow because it's the church route, but no. It's just another bullet point. So then we follow Claude's plan, and this is where we find, and this is where Gronder happens off screen. Claude goes missing, and Dimitri is confirmed dead, which is just bullshit. They both get off screen deaths, and it's like, I mentioned this during the stream, but you had a golden opportunity to just have Dimitri and Claude kind of join us as like a joint thing. Give me some actual reason to go ahead and do this. But no, we have to have Dimitri and Claude disappear from the plot because consequences of our choices, which, as I have stated multiple fucking times, makes no goddamn sense. Because, as again, you choose nuance, again, there is no nuance to this. This is black and white, binary, and I hate it. This actually had the opportunity to do something engaging like Infamous 2 pulled with its two endings, but it never manages that, and I hate it. I despise it for that. I'm not going to spoil that, but anyways. So then we go to deal with Edelgard, and then we get the scene with the Javelins of Light coming down and destroying Fort Mercius, because why wouldn't it? Because we have to have a fortress destroyed, I guess. Except in Azure Moon, but let's not get into that. So then Dedue comes and somewhat allies with us for a bit. Okay, sure. Then my next note is about Edelgard's death being dumb. Edelgard talks about in both this and when the scene this CG cutscene is literally recycled for Verdant Wind. She is like, "My teacher, you must kill me and walk over my corpse to the future," and I'm like, why? Why is your death necessary? Why can I not bitch slap Rhea to the fucking ground, smack Sedith away, and basically just say, no, she's learned her fucking lesson. She will be in my care and my custody. Right? Because it's clear her ambition did not fucking work. Like, I'm sorry, but I, ah, again, this is another example of, I feel like, the porn of a work, the porn created by fans of a work has better writing than the actual work, because they don't even explain that. I just wanted to walk with you. Yeah, because except the writers didn't allow us to, get you to go off of this path, right? Again, I hate that. Which is funny because in Three Hopes, Edelgard's reason for starting the war is actually better than in frickin' Three Houses. And yes, in Silver Snow, she still does make the same speech as she did in Azure Moon, because of course she does. So then we get Hubert's letter, which basically talks about, hey, those who slither in the dark are the true villains. Yeah, thanks for that game. And also thanks for us only having to actually deal with Shambhala in two fucking pathways. Because again, we have to have this stupid murder boner with Edelgard and Azure Moon. So then Rhea is an idiot, as she is barely at the point where she has recovered, and decides she's going to come with us. Because why wouldn't she? Oh my god, Rhea, you are such an imbecile. Which only weakens her condition, which only shows up in Silver Snow, by the way. So we're having that whole Fates multiple timelines bullshit happening. Which is also the same reason why, which is also one of the reasons why, for example, in Star Trek Into Darkness, the super blood of Khan and his people is just is that dumb, by the way. So after we deal with Talus and Shambhala, which are barely relevant at all. Well, Talus is basically just the Agarathans are something I haven't even talked about, and that's because they don't really have any relevance on this story. Despite them being the main villains, they have no relevance to this plot. Not really. To any of these plots. They really won't have any relevance to Crimson Flower. They barely had any kind of relevance to Azure Moon, and they only have a tiny bit of relevance in both Silver Snow and Verdant Wind, as they are literally just people that we have to go and take down. And that's it. It's dumb. So then we get the truth about Byleth. Now, this was a good scene because it explains what happened. You know, the whole thing with Citri, how Citri was one of the vessels of Sothis, and how she wanted Byleth to be the next vessel so that Byleth could survive, otherwise mother and child would both perish. It's a sweet sentiment. Excuse me. It's a sweet sentiment, but it doesn't work for a number of reasons. The first is there's no real consequences to Rhea doing this because Rhea I'm pretty sure it supposedly survives her going berserk. Like the epilogue even just mentions Rhea's rampage was put to an end, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that she was killed. It just means her rampage was ended. And that's the problem. So, yeah. Honestly, her S support having her survive is fucking bullshit. And no, in my head canon in Silver Snow, she fucking dies. She fucking dies. End of story. I hate it. I will never do it. I hate it so much. It's dumb. Ugh. Moving on. Let's move on to Crimson Flower now. Which actually, I have a few things that notes I made before uh, the Silver Snow notes, but I'm going to mention them here because they are effectively Crimson Flower notes. So the first is you going with Edelgard to Embar. Can I just say that this is such a shitty way to hide this? See, the funny thing is this I got this unlock almost effortlessly on my first playthrough. I didn't have to look up how to unlock a Crimson Flower. Now that's not a dig, okay? That's not a dig at other people because there are plenty of stupidly obvious things that I have had to look up. I mean, the Nonary games, for example, 999 and Virtue's Last Reward are both great examples of that. In which I've had to look up basically almost all of the puzzles because I am an idiot. right? But anyways, going so you have to get her up to C plus. So you have to have two support conversations with her. Then in chapter 11, you have to talk to her and eat up almost all your free time. And almost all of your free time has to be eaten up. I think you have to do it on the first week. I don't know. But you have to talk to Edelgard, agree to go with her to Embar. There is no cutscene if you refuse to go, by the way. Hey, she just disappears and you're on Silver Snow. Congratulations. I don't know what happens if you don't have the C plus support with Edelgard and you go and talk to her, if she's even still there without the C plus support. But regardless, there you go. If you refuse, you're on Silver Snow. Congratulations. And you miss out on a great scene, in my opinion, which is just why? Why would you miss out on that? Which is funny because, yeah. So you have to do that, you have to talk to her, and then you have to choose to side with her when you complete the battle in chapter 11. It's so dumb. I still say that it's funny because I actually have ideas to combine Three Houses and Three Hopes because, well, of course I do. I would want the best of both worlds, and I would still want her to, yeah, I would still want to try and convince her that, hey, let's fix this up and get things going, right? But I digress. So then, I mean, all right, so you go with her to Embar, and we get an amazing scene where she's crowned, which is awesome. And then we have the split. Which is funny. Her being crowned emperor is actually, I actually repeated the note basically down here. Here. Then Rhea says a line I absolutely hate. You are just another failure. She says this to the only success. But then again, Rhea has been fucking paint thinner guzzlingly stupid the entire game, so I suppose that's indicative. I guess that's not exactly bad writing, that's just consistency. Then again, it's consistency of bad writing, so whatever. So then we fight Rhea, because of course we do, and Edelgard names the group the Black Eagle Strike Force. I know some people have derided this name. I can't help it. I love that name. I think it's a great name. Some people might find it stupid. I think it's cool. So then the Death Knight joins, and that's, and almost never gets explained. It's just Yuritsa. If you have the DLC, Yuritsa's a party member now. Yay! Okay. Then there's the line I mentioned earlier. I have only made an enemy of the church, not the faith. Then, after you defeat Rhea, we get the scene that leads us into the Crimson Flower time skip. That scene is dumb. I mean, I hate the scene with that plays for all the other routes, but where Rhea transforms. But yeah, this scene is really dumb and deserves special mention. I gave this a story negative, by the way, because I was just like, what? So yeah, that was dumb. Then we have an extremely sweet reunion with Edelgard, where she's just like, I looked everywhere for you. Where have you been doing all this time? I've been passed out these 5 years. Choking at a time like this? Eh, and then she goes up and she hugs us and says, Welcome back, my teacher. You know? Do you still feel the way you did all those years ago? Yes, because there's no way in fucking hell Rhea would have taken it, making me back even if I did go and beg. She would have ripped. She would have ripped my head off for the slight, and you know it. So then we begin the Black Eagle Strike Force begins its campaign to unite Fodlan through bloodshed. Then Lysithea is the only recruitable on a path F character that I like, because if you recruit her pre-time skip, she's just with you. There's no, there's no difference. Same with it, whether or not you kill Hilda, but that's beside the point. I went out of my way to spare Hilda this time, and Claude, if you're paying attention. Because if she joins, she's just there in the monastery. But if you didn't recruit her, she is the one character that will actually join you if you spare her, which is nice. So then we find out we're working with Twisted, because of course we are. Why wouldn't we be flaming morons? Then we give it Edelgard's flawed view on history. See, Edelgard is under the impression, because she has knowledge of the Reskfelk emperors, that the truth was covered up by the church and the Adrestian Empire helped cover it up. And that is true. But the problem is that she's taking this to mean that the church has been solidifying its rule for so long. The problem is Fodlan is a very chaotic place. I mean, we're talking about a continent that over the course of 1,000 years has had no at bare minimum 3 wars. 3 wars. Now, if you're probably thinking 3 wars? Well, okay. Now, if we don't count that's at minimum 2 wars if we're not counting the unification of Fodlan. But if we include the unification of Fodlan, 3 wars over the course of 1,000 years, right? You have the war where the kingdoms seceded from the alliance. Then you have the war where the alliance broke up, or no, the kingdoms seceded from the empire, and then the alliance seceded from split off from the kingdom and created this dichotomy. Of course, the Church of Saros would have to be in there to frickin' rule over it, because again, there was no real unified Fodlan. Excuse me. There was no real unified Fodlan. There was nothing keeping the there was nothing keeping the regions in check except for the Central Church. Now, again, Rhea has been doing this for selfish reasons, and it has led to many problems, which is what she confesses during the telling Violet the truth scene. But the problem is that Rhea doesn't need to have her crimes be dragged into the light, but again, not through burning Fodlan to the ground, and that is the problem. And that's why her view on history is so flawed. So then we get to either spare or kill Claude. I always spare him, because why the fuck would I kill Claude? That is so stupid. Anyways, so then we get a nice little scene of Edelgard shrieking because she's spotted a rat, which leads to us discovering the fact that she's trying to create a portrait of us, you know? So then we have to deal with Sedith and Flame. And, well, Catherine and Saros Rhea at this point, but still, Rhea and Catherine deal with Randolph and Ladislavia and kill them both. Ladislavia dies off screen, and Randolph dies by barely making it back to Garrick Mach. Of. And of course, you can also choose to, if Byleth is the one to defeat both Flayn and Sedith, then they are spared. They don't die. I hate this. I hate this so much because why would I not? Why would I kill Sedith and Flayn? They're not evil. Evil, just send them on their way. You know, they're not Rhea in this path. So I've already mentioned Yuritsa being the Death Knight, and he joins us, and he's kind of cool. Then we go lay siege to Aryan Road and deal with Cornelia. And this is when Arundel shows up and reveals that he has bombed Aryan Road because we killed Cornelia. Whatever. Oh, and the fact that it was Arundel that did that is also kept from the Black Eagle Strike Force because why wouldn't it be? I swear, if there's something similar to that in Three Hopes, I'm going to give that a negative hard. Might even give it multiple negatives, but we'll see. So then Rhea starts insisting on being Saros because same person. It makes it's obvious at this point. Then we deal with Dimitri and his forces, including Dedu using the fucking crest stones. Why is Dedu a paint thinner guzzling moron in here? I hate this. It's so stupid. But we deal with that. We defeat Dimitri, and of course, then we get his death scene, which is just. This is also why I hate the no golden root thing, by the way. It's just fucking stupid. At this point, you might as well have just made it a fucking Vert and Wind game and not given us any of the choices. So then Edelgard talks about the truth about Byleth, which is again a half truth. As as you were, the experimented on and blah blah blah. And then Saros lights Ferdiad on fire. Why the fuck does anybody stick with Saros past this point? No, seriously, why does anybody side with Saros after this point? Why does Annette, why does Gilbert, Annette, and Ash, if you haven't recruited Annette and Ash, why does Catherine and Gilbert continue to obey this woman? This woman is murdering innocent people. And let's be clear, I do mean murdering. I hate this so fucking much. So then we go and we kill Rhea in a really bad boss fight, which can frankly, go burn. I didn't even mention how much I hate the boss fight with Rhea in there, although I think I mentioned it actually in the gameplay section where I just fucking hate the final battles of the Black Eagles. Ugh. Then again, I hate all of the end games, so that's indicative. So then Byleth and Edelgard kill Rhea, and this causes Sothis' Creststone to dissipate. Which is also further evidence, by the way, that Rhea is still alive in Silver Snow because Byleth doesn't lose the Creststone. I don't know why Sothis' Creststone dissipates if Rhea's dead, but whatever. And that's Crimson Flower. Oh, I don't know what to tell you guys. Crimson Flower, Silver Snow was bad, and Crimson Flower, the only reason it was scored so well on the score modification is because of those frickin' support conversations with Edelgard, Hubert, and Yuritsa. Silver Snow was the only one with a net negative score to its score modification because of those supports. But again, I still hated Azure Moon. Still hated it because it just doesn't work, in my opinion. And it just. I don't even know what to say at this point. I mean, I've spent less time on this than I did with Azure Moon. But that's because I had more to discuss and complain about, basically, with Azure Moon. Because again, the Rodrigue thing, the Hegemon Edelgard thing, and the parlay with Edelgard. I had to explain why all of those pissed me off. It's pretty. I summed it up pretty easily why I hate the whole Ferdiad burning. Although I guess if I can go back to that for a moment, minor spoilers for Cold Steel 2, in case you either haven't played it or haven't seen my video on it. I was praising Last Chance for spoilers. I'm done with Silver Snow and Crimson Flower. They suck. The end. End, okay? Supports are good in Crimson Flower, but Silver Snow sucks. The end. Both of these, from a narrative perspective, suck. The end. So, and then now for the spoilers of this. But I digress. Anyways, my point is, is the burning of Keldic in Cold Steel 2 worked for me because the burning of Keldic was a character point. Even in character, everybody was calling that the asshole move. Nobody was treating that as anything more than a supremely disgusting act. Here, everybody treats it like it's fine. No, Ray said Freddy had on fire. It's fine. And that's my biggest problem with it. And this is what I mean by Three Houses having bad writing, by the way, because they didn't think any of this shit through. Just have Rhea just burn Ferdiad. Why? Because we have to justify killing her. I had plenty of reason to not trust Rhea and to kind of want her dead before she burnt Ferdiad to the ground. Once she burnt Ferdiad to the ground, that was just the point of no return where she was irredeemable. But no. Ugh. I hope you've at least tolerated my thoughts and my bitching. I like some of the ideas in Crimson Flower, but again, I feel like this should have been a battle against Twisted, not a battle siding with them. Thank you, Three Hopes, for giving that to me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I will go ahead and sign off and get ready to start Verdant Wind, the final one that I need to do this. So I will either see you in Verdant Wind if you've been watching these in order, or if this is the last / only one you're watching, I hope to see you for Sacred Stones. Blue Wolf Alex, the Lore Walker, signing out. Have a good one. Signing out of this part. Have a good one. See you in Verdant Wind.